Hello, and welcome to Seeker Team
Hello,
7.
and welcome to Seeker Team 7. And welcome to
All
Seeker
right,
Team
somebody's got
7.
to mute their speaker.
It's got
Nope.
to mute their speaker.
How's that?
All right, no weird echo. Okay, good.
Yay!
I am Charlie Wittes. I am your dungeon master for the night. We have a light crew tonight. We will be joined by C playing Scarson. We have Adam playing the Remarkable, and we have Heather playing Ulara, the Loxodon cleric. Last time we had a bit of a rough go in the simulation room. Marnie had sent you in there to deal with some aggressive undead, and it was close. It was close. No TPK, but I think at the end of the match, a few people were down on the ground, and but we got out of there. You guys are back in the dormitory. Marty has just gone through her list of notes, most of them not good. She is determined to whip you guys into shape. She is basically telling you everything you wish you didn't know about your character flaws, but in a nice way. She's looking to help. She goes, all right, well, get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow we have a big agenda. And she will leave. You guys can feel free to do what you want in the dorm for the time being. Technically, you guys didn't actually lose any spell slots and or hit points last time. But if you so choose to take a long rest, if you want to change out spells, especially if you're a wizard, you are welcome to do so.
Good.
I mean,
Thank you.
long rest sounds good to me.
All right.
Yep.
All right. The next morning, it always comes too early. By 6 a.m., there is a knock on everybody's door. Probably Rahiri has to go and wake up Ulara again, I imagine.
I like to sleep in.
Yeah, this is probably a normal morning habit. I imagine the most chipper person possible is going to always be like, hello, friends. Wake up. And she says, today we are going on a field trip. We are going to a few of our other facilities. So she goes, everybody gear up. Who knows what we're going to see out there. So you should make sure everybody has their weapons, their armor, all that fun stuff. Snacks, make sure you take snacks. And she takes you out through the door. There's always, everything kind of revolves around the door here. This door that always seems to go somewhere that, isn't out. But this time, when she opens it, it goes out. So when she opens the door, you are essentially in a city street. It is dark, which is strange because as far as you understand, this is morning. And there you can hear kind of the bustle in the distance, but it's a relatively uninhabited kind of alleyway to a door. And she says, come with me. And she starts to walk out into the city and she goes, welcome to Dimcaster. And she's kind of gesturing as she goes. She's telling you some facts about the city. It's the third largest city in the Midnight Shore, which is the world you guys are in. It is a very diverse city. The one thing she'll point out is she goes, so most of you came from a world with a sun, if I had to guess. We don't have a sun here. We have moons. And that's about it. And when you guys look up at the sky, again, it's a night sky. You do see one moon. The other thing you see is that there is a very intense aurora borealis going on. So you get these kind of really colorful green and pink shimmering in the sky. It's quite breathtaking. Unless you are from the northern parts of your worlds, it's rare that you would probably even see them. And then she'll tell you that this is the city that has the main office for Seek, but there are branches all over the place. Can I have people make perception checks?
10.
What do I roll for that?
Go.
A perception check. You should roll. There should be a listing for perception and your skills.
Oh, thank you.
19.
I scored a 4.
Okay. You're just like, wow, I'm actually outside in a city that I've never been to before. This is fascinating. Ulara, you turn around because something feels a little off behind you. Zinfast, your rogue friend, is no longer there. When you guys are pretty sure that you all left through the same door together, but he is no longer there.
She's gonna like turn around and look and kind
Make
of
sure you didn't step on him or something.
yeah, and push some people aside.
Yeah, he's nowhere to be seen.
Oh,
He appears to have melted into the night. Day.
oh boy.
That looks like night.
Do we lose a party member every time we fuck up?
Yes. Eventually, it's going to be just one of you. And it's going to be a weird game. It's going to be me, that person, and that's it.
Oh.
So, or we're just going to we'll bring in a new person every single time and just pretend that they were always there. They'd be like, wait, who's this person? I'm like, oh, it's your longtime comrade that you've been fighting with for years. What are you talking about? But yeah, he seems to have melted into the night with no trace of where he may have gone. It's my way of saying Paul won't be joining us probably anytime soon, so he's off on other adventures.
Okay.
So she keeps taking you down through the city. Now, there's a bunch of things about the city. It is busy. Again, just about every race you can think of that isn't trying to eat people all the time is there. And then on top of that, there's street hawkers everywhere. Lots of bustle, carts moving through. It is a true city. Again, it's a city that is used to being in the dark, so it's very well lit. The one thing that you really do notice is that the main streets that you are walking on actually glow. So it's kind of, there's always this perpetual glow under your feet as well as actual streetlights as well. And Marnie will kind of tell you when she's kind of sees you guys kind of walk, like looking at your feet as you're stepping along. She goes, they actually mix bioluminescent moss with the street material, so our streets all glow.
Interesting.
Ulara's gonna crouch down and like feel the street.
It's basically almost it's like a spongy kind of street. So you get it's basically moss kind of growing between various like cobble. I mean, Heather, you've been in Portland where they have all of the cobblestone streets that people break their ankles on when they're drunk. Similar idea, but instead of having all those gaps, just imagine there's a glowing moss there instead, which would be way cooler.
This is genius.
Yes. Yeah, in a place where there is no day, you make the light you can. So they've adapted pretty well to it. So you guys are in the streets for about 10 minutes, kind of weaving your way. Marnie knows where she's going. And then you turn off onto a side street. Again, kind of quiet. And then you turn off to an even quieter street where there's no traffic whatsoever. At the end of it, there is a building with just a door. And that's it. And as you are walking there, two figures, one on each side, kind of come out from the darkness, kind of looking menacing. And as they get closer, one starts to draw a dagger, but they immediately put it away and they go, "Oh, Miss Blackwater, I apologize. I didn't know you were coming today. Are you here to show the recruits the facility?" She goes, "Yes, please. Could you let them know we're coming?" A half orc, which is the other one that was trying to pull his dagger out, will say, yes, and he'll walk over to the door and he'll do a series of kind of like knocks that are kind of, you think maybe a kind of a code, and then we'll say, "I'll set, ma'am, after you."
I'd like to pay attention to the knocks.
Yeah, give me a perception check. I want to see how well you can keep the track of it in your head.
19.
All right. You think that if you had to duplicate it, you could, in an emergency, you might miss a beat or two, but you're pretty sure that in that quick moment you may have gotten it. So,
all right.
I actually didn't think of an actual code, so we'll just say you memorized it for the most part.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. When you walk in, it is a relatively small room with nothing really in it except for a bunch of heavily armored and armed individuals. probably about 6 of them. And they all have their hands on their weapons about to draw. But they'll stay there. Probably the most well-appointed one, he's wearing full plate, has a really nice looking sword, looks like he could definitely handle himself in a fight, will step forward and say, "Your ID, please, ma'am." And she'll go, "Of course." And she will actually roll up her sleeve, and there is a Seeker logo on her forearm. He will hold up a tablet. It's like a tablet with just a magical rune on it, and it will start to glow. I think it will start glowing. It's like a bluish color. And after about 10 seconds, it will turn to green. And he'll go, "Thank you, ma'am." And he will open the door for her. When they open this door, you are in a huge room with desks everywhere, all in kind of these rows. And there is traffic galore. So people, mostly robed, they look like they're either like scholar or wizardly types, are walking back and forth, carrying large piles of books and documents. There's carts moving between desks. And at each desk is a person who is flipping through papers. And most of the time they'll, after whipping through for a few minutes, they'll actually grab what looks like a stamp and they'll stamp the paperwork. They'll roll it up and they'll put it in a tube, like a magical scroll, like a magic scroll tube. And on each desk, you can see piles of red, blue, and green. And depending on, they'll if they stamp it, they'll put it in a certain color, and that color will be handed to one of the people walking with the carts. So she'll basically, Marnie will tell you, this is where everybody's soul, like their fate is decided, where they're going. If we don't know where they're going, they have to do additional research to figure out where they're going. They have to make sure that they are, they haven't done a crime either in this world or in their previous one that would prevent them from going to the afterlife. So it's basically one big soul accounting department. Bunch of magic nerds, basically, all doing paperwork all day.
I'd like to take a peek at some of the paperwork.
Sure.
What's an example of a random piece of paper?
You'll basically, so you see one, it's a goblin named Ugg, and basically has, his stats. It has the world he comes from, as well as basically some of his, it runs like a detail of his, what he's done in his life. And you can see the person kind of reading each one, and then it will have kind of who they worshipped and then the afterlife they believe they're supposed to go in. And the person's kind of sitting there reading it for a second and, checking some things. They'll flip over to a couple other pages to kind of check a note. They'll grab their stamp, and it's just a big check mark basically in the bottom corner of it. And then they'll roll it up and they'll put it in one of the blue scroll tubes and then toss it into one of the bins that are walking by.
Okay.
Marnie sees you stopping and looking and says, come, don't fall behind. You guys don't have your IDs yet, so if you're found by yourself, it won't go well. Those nice gentlemen with the big weapons will have a word with you, possibly get physical.
I'm gonna ask, why are they armed here? Why is everyone like who would break in here and disrupt this place?
I had mentioned that souls can be very profitable and powerful in this world. On premises, we do the majority of passing souls that we have retrieved to their allotted afterlives. Because of that, it means we have a large amount of souls on premises. And while we are well protected here, it would not be surprising should a organization get bold enough to break in here and try to steal some of that or all of it. So security has to be tight to make sure that doesn't happen. So they have tried in the past, and needless to say, we have managed to hold them at bay. This location itself has been moved several times to maintain security, but there's always the threat. There are many organizations that you will inevitably run into yourselves out there that not only will target you for your jobs, but you'll have to engage simply to do your job. As she's walking to it, there's one more set of doors at the back of this room, and there are 2 guards in front of it. They will hold out the tablet again to double check her ID, and they will ask who she's here to see. She goes, "Yes, I have an appointment with I can't remember my own character's name, Director Jaffe." And so when the tablet goes green, they'll open the door for her and goes, yes. He told us to expect you. We were just confirming your appointments. And so you guys will be taken through. At this point, it goes from being like sleek, mostly wooden with lots of brass and stuff like that, to this is much more industrial at this point, primarily stone. There are tubes running in various directions along the walls and the ceiling. This is clearly not the part of the facility that most people get to see at all, if they get to come in at all. And there is mostly one long corridor with corridors off each side that go on for some time. Those of you with dark vision can't actually see where these go all the way down because they're not lit. All you know is that your vision eventually will fall off and you won't see any immediate details. She goes, "By no means should you wander off in this place. There's all kinds of nasty things that you don't want to run into. Let me just put it that way." So she'll walk you guys down this. Do you have a question?
No,
Okay.
He's kind of silently wondering about the dramatics and the militarized complex around souls and the investment this group has in the collection of souls, but he's not saying those things.
Okay. You guys will make it down this long hallway, and there's another set of doors. This time, there's nobody guarding them, and she'll open them, and you immediately hear kind of like a murmuring of voices. It sounds like people are working. The room itself is relatively tall and expansive, and hanging from the ceiling, you have these essentially kind of almost like crystal balls, like glass-looking orbs of various sizes, with around one much bigger one in the middle. And as you go in, each one actually has images flashing on them, like almost like you're watching a movie. You guys wouldn't know what a movie is, but give you a sense of what it looks like at least. And the largest one has a basically it's kind of like a fire landscape, if you will. There are volcanoes all dotting around there. They're spewing ash and fire, lava pools. Looks like a great vacation destination for anybody who really likes the heat. It's a dry heat though, so it's not too bad. And immediately as you walk in, you basically hear somebody say in a kind of a highish pitched voice, sounds like maybe a smaller person, say, "Begin transferring the level 10." And you hear a voice confirming, saying like, "Level 10 transfer commencing. Green across the board. Sectors 1 through 3 have been cleared. They are focusing entirely on this. Sector 4 is ready for any overload." And Marty will walk up to the center of the room. What you'll see is basically there is a robed gnome, so much shorter than most of the party at this point, and even Marty towers over him. And she will basically say, "Director Jaffe," and he will, without looking at her, he has his eyes locked on that main crystal ball, and she'll just respond. He'll just respond with "Liaison Blackwater." She goes, "Busy day?" And he's like, "It's a level 10, so we're being cautious. That's our job. But it's nothing too major. It's just an ancient red dragon that we're passing on. It's nothing like the Trask we had a few years ago. It was a small one, but, Trask. For those of you who are D&D savvy, Trask is basically the biggest, baddest thing you can really run into. So, she will turn to him and basically say, "Is the viewing room available?" And he goes, yes, we are. I have some technicians readying it for your use today." As you turn to walk away with Marnie, the director will call out to her and say, Marnassus. And she'll kind of stop in place. And he goes, a word, if you will. She will point to you guys and point to a door on the other side of this room and say, I will meet you at the door. I will take perception checks if you want to try to glean some information from their conversation.
Yeah. 5.
There's a lot of cool stuff in this room, man. You think you're in a room, but you're not sure.
15.
You catch the very first clip, but as you move away, all you hear is basically him, call her name again as it trails off.
22.
All right, so you hear him say something like, Marnassus, are you sure you're up to leading a team again? It hasn't been that long since Van. And then she'll cut him off and say, of course, what happened took us all by surprise, but we have an important responsibility, and I will do my duty as I see fit. And that's all you hear as you walk away. The conversation continues for about another minute, and then she'll turn and come toward the party. She'll say, follow me. And so she'll open the door, and there's it's a much smaller room. Again, very industrial looking. There is pipes everywhere, as well as kind of these consoles in the middle that have various crystals and levers on them. Kind of steampunky, but not quite that technologically advanced. And then along each wall are these they're really big cylinders, essentially. I'm not sure if everybody here is old enough to remember what the old dark room things in high school where you would have like the tube that would have the sliding door, basically. But it looks like there's something you could actually physically fit into there. They're big enough for each one of you to actually fit inside, which is a good coincidence because that's what we're going to do. So she will basically tell you that this is our viewing room. Here we will show you why we do what we do. We have prepared a few examples. I'm not going to try to tell you too much about it. I'd inspire you to experience it yourself. Do you have any questions before you go in?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. She goes, you with the trunk.
Who's Van?
Her face will go, she'll lose composure for half a second, and she'll go, Van is none of your business.
Well, my existence is my business, and if you had any dealings in helping destroy someone's existence, I'm kind of worried for my own.
I assure you that should that person become something you have to be aware of, I will tell you. That is not today, nor will it likely be tomorrow. I'm sorry. I'm afraid that this topic is off limits.
Okay.
We'll
see how long that lasts.
If you'd like, you can make an insight roll to kind of see if you want to try to peer inside her head a little bit.
Yeah, let's do that. I haven't done one of those.
I fully encourage the use of skills. You got a whole lot of them. Please use them.
Does a 18 do anything?
It does not in this case. Marnie's a professional. You got her to break by mentioning the name for about half a second, and she has locked it up. She's pushed her glasses a little closer to her face and straightened up a bit, and you can tell she is digging her heels in, so to speak.
Friendships based on lies aren't friendships.
She goes, technically you're my employees. I don't think we're friends yet.
Whoa.
Trusting relationships built on lies are not really trusting relationships.
I have not lied to you. I have just not told you
omission.
Everything.
Okay.
I assure
lying
you,
by omitting.
We all have our dirty laundry. I'm not asking you to share yours, nor should I have to share mine.
I mean, if you ask, I'll tell.
She goes, I'm all set, but thank you.
Dirty laundry is made to be washed.
She goes, that is quite enough. Do you have any questions pertaining to this? And she refers to the room.
What's gonna kill us in here?
Unless something goes tragically wrong, nothing.
That's different.
She goes, yes, don't worry. We'll get back to the normal stuff tomorrow.
Oh, all right. Well, I will confidently stride through.
Okay.
I'll follow.
Okay. So you guys basically there'll be technicians. They'll each show you to one of these tubes. A door that is in the front will slide open, and they'll gesture to inside of it. It's a hollow tube. The only thing that really is of note is that on the bottom you can see magical runes in a circle that are very lightly glowing.
Can I use Arcana to get some sense of what this is?
Sure.
And I roll a 22.
22. So you think this is something to do with it's based in almost like an illusion. So you think it's maybe something that is going to show you something potentially. The spell's really complex, so you're not quite sure to what extent and how. But that's the vibe it's giving you, at least from some of the telltale signs from the ruins you're seeing and stuff like that.
Okay. I'll get it then.
Okay. So she goes, I assure you, nothing will happen to you while you're in there. And I imagine you will have lots of questions. The first time is tough for everyone. I suggest deep breaths and try not to clench your jaw too hard. And then she will nod to one of the technicians who will pull a lever and the doors will all shut. There is a faint glow in the room from the magical ruins that will slowly and steadily get brighter and brighter and brighter. And the tube becomes so bright that you all have to close and cover your eyes because it is almost painful how bright this is. And then suddenly you are in darkness again. But only for a moment. The light begins to kind of rise again slowly. At this time, though, it doesn't feel like it's concentrated just at your feet. It's the entire surrounding area surrounding you is slowly getting lighter. Oh, you yawning in my game, Steve? Am I boring you?
There's a long story. I'll tell you.
No, I know. And it's all right. It's a lot of. We're building a world here. You're going on my journey with me. You begin to feel a slight rush of air across your face. You hear birds chirping. You hear what sounds like trees being moved and rubbing against each other. And as it gets lighter and lighter and lighter, you find yourselves in a relatively idyllic forest. Trees everywhere. You don't really see any telltale signs of like people or anything immediately. It's just a lush, vibrant forest. Various color foliage. It's not just your standard greens. There's some blues. It's very psychedelic almost, but without being like an acid trip. Really, it feels not over the top. There is what seems like wildlife moving about the trees, and otherwise you're in the woods. You can smell, the leaves and the grass and the dirt. It seems real.
Perception check.
Sure.
Yeah, it is totally real.
Yeah, how bad?
5.
Okay. Yeah, you're like, this is like 4K HD stuff, man.
I'm alive.
Yeah. You're like, this is a nice forest. Like, see this tree? Man, check out this tree, man. Like, these leaves aren't green.
All right. I'm gonna roll a perception check. Sure. Not with a 9. Those trees are real.
Yeah, you're like, listen, those trees aren't just trees. They're interesting trees. Like, you pick up a little bit more than Scarson does.
I'll try as well.
Sure.
And I get a 19.
It feels very real to you. You kind of walk up and touch a tree. The sensations there. Like I said, you feel the breeze on your skin. Any sun that's peeking through, you can kind of like feel that light hitting your face, and that you feel that warmth of the sun. Which again is novel because for you guys, this is kind of the first time you guys have really seen the sun or a sun in like a week. So you've either been inside or you just got to go outside in a city of which there is no sun. So that's novel for you at least. What the remarkable also here is there is the faint rustling of like leaves and what may be footsteps kind of coming off to your upper right area. You don't see anything yet, but you think there might be something larger than like a squirrel moving through some of the foliage.
Okay.
After about maybe a minute, the wizard did a good job warning you guys that there may be danger coming. A wood elf moves into kind of the clearing that you guys are there. She is completely nude, and she is looking around kind of in a combination of both curiosity, a little bit of shock, a little bit of reluctance. She seems kind of almost like confused by what's going on. She's looking around, trying to take it all in, almost as if, when you guys first literally set foot here, there was a lot of like, what is going on here? She doesn't seem freaked out. She just seems unsure.
Do any of you speak Elvish?
I do.
I do.
Please interpret for me.
Let's ask her who she is.
Do you see you go up and try to speak to her?
Yeah.
She does not acknowledge you remotely.
Okay.
As if she can't either hear or see you, to the point where she actually turns and you're standing kind of there in front of her, be like, "Hi, my name is the Remarkable. You may have heard of me. I am the Remarkable." Basically. And then she moves.
No May.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like I know. Autographs later, maybe. And she moves through you bodily, but does not make contact. She literally moves right through you.
Like a ghost?
Yes, but more like you guys are the ghosts in this case. You basically see this wood elf form move entirely through the Remarkable. Her shape does not change, nor does his really, but she just moves through him as if he's not there, as if he's air. So I have killed you guys again, made you specters.
I throw a rock.
Just give me a theme, man. We're just gonna.
I throw a rock.
Yep.
At the Remarkable. I rolled a 24.
Do me a favor. Can you roll D4?
Really?
Well, how hard did you throw? You just
It's like a pebble.
Okay, fine. I mean, you're also a strong guy.
Good. I rolled as low as I could. One.
Okay. So you right in the side of your head, there's just this bink, and you're like, oh, what? Why?
So, hold on. How come she could walk through him, but the rock couldn't?
That's a good question.
I'm gonna follow her.
You follow her.
I'm gonna pick up the rock. I'm gonna keep it.
That's not going to come back later at all.
There will come a time this rock can go back to where it came from.
You're going to wake up at night in your dorm and you'll be standing over you with the rock in hand being like, you remember this? Nobody hits the Remarkable with a stone.
It's for our teleportation pad later.
Yeah. As you follow her, go ahead and make another set of perception checks.
I was just trying to be a scientist.
I mean, you do what you got to do to figure stuff out, man.
8.
I am a scientist. I got 17.
The Remarkable, you probably you hear what sounds like more rustling coming from another area of the forest, as if again creatures they're larger than your average small woodland creature are moving. It sounds like maybe there's even more of them this time.
Okay, I'll tell the rest of the group that there's something coming this way.
And it sounds like the wood elf has also heard that, so she kind of gets kind of near a tree and kind of is peering out and waiting for whatever it is to approach. And what it is it's a small group of wood elves, again, all completely nude. It's mixed gender. And as they kind of move to the clearing, the wood elf is kind of watching for a second, and then you kind of see this realization on her face, like this, almost like this, like aha moment. And she kind of moves out and says, "Mother," looking at one of the female wood elves that came through. And again, with the thing about elves is like you're not entirely sure which one could possibly be mother because they barely ever show their age. So they're all relatively the same age looking anyway. And then one will kind of turn and go, "Daughter, we knew you were coming and we have come to greet you." And she, the wood elf that you've been following moves out and is holding her hands to her face, kind of in shock, and tears are beginning to stream down her face. And she is just like, where? I don't. She goes, it's okay. This is what was promised us after all of those years of belief and living for our deity. This is the lush, boundless, ever-providing forest that we were promised that we will spend eternity in. And they'll begin to embrace, and then the other wood elves will come over and kind of, there'll be some embracing. There's, some crying, and they kind of wrap their arms around her and kind of walk off into the forest further. And it's at the moment you hear Marnie's voice, and she'll basically tell you that what you have witnessed is what we do. We found her soul floating around a sewer system, just wandering. We don't know how long, and we don't know if something would have become her had we not become involved. And she was just transferred from our facility to her afterlife, the one in which that she was assigned to originally before she got lost. Had she been captured? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I want to do a religion check to see if the afterlife that's described here is at least one that I'm aware of,
Sure.
or if it's something that's maybe being generated in the moment. And so I roll a very poor 6. So,
I mean, elves in afterlives that involve lush forests are a dime a dozen. So it's hard to. It doesn't surprise you, but you don't know specifically which one it might pertain to. Wasn't really enough information. It was a idyllic forest and a bunch of naked elves. That's all you really could glean off of it. I mean, and it may have been the naked elves that distracted you. I don't know. Maybe the Markable's a perv. We don't know. We'll get to that. Don't worry. There would be a whole 6-game episodic about your perversion later.
probably not.
D&D is a weird game, man. It takes you to some funny places. And so she'll continue. She goes, had she been left alone, she would have either become one of the aggressive apparitions that you fought in the simulation room, or she could have been captured by one of a bunch of groups of people that would have done untoward things, either by consumption or by, selling. And then you'll basically hear her voice kind of get a little quieter as if she's not talking directly to you. She goes, show them another. And everything will be dark again. And then get brighter and brighter and brighter. And at this point, you guys are like, okay, you move your hands to your eyes. You're ready for this because the searing, blinding white light that is this transfer is occurring again. This time, as it begins to get lighter, you just feel yourself. You can feel grass brushing your legs. And you can hear that. You can feel a stronger wind this time. You can hear it moving through the grass. And as the light picks up more, you are in a large field. Pretty much almost as far as I can see. There is some, slight elevation changes here or there with hills, but it's more or less a pretty open, wide field. In the distance, though, almost as built into a cloud is a large castle, but quite a distance off as far as you can tell. But it looks massive, and it literally looks like it's literally built into a cloud, as if it's the cloud itself were like a cliffside. While you're standing there, go ahead and make some perception checks. I'm assuming you guys are probably all on high alert at this point anyway, so you would be actively looking at your surroundings and listening.
I got
8.
23.
18.
18 and 23. They're remarkable. This is weird, so you're still kind of not in it yet. You guys hear what sounds like, and you both probably have heard this before in various places, but it sounds like the sound of a lot of footsteps of people wearing armor. And as far as you can tell, it's coming from a bunch of different directions. After about maybe a minute of you guys just kind of trying to strain your ears, you kind of see the beginnings of what looks like a bunch of different small armies coming from various directions, all kind of converging toward the area that you are in. They are a mix of men and women. They are mostly wearing chainmail. A lot of them have either like a hand axe or a sword and like a wooden shield that are usually pretty well, or they're round and ornately painted. And they're all kind of just moving that direction. No real impetus. They don't seem to be running or rushing. They're mostly just moving in loose formation. So it doesn't look like it's necessarily like a phalanx or like a really just a well-trained unit. Just these massive groups of armed individuals. And then as they get about maybe a few hundred feet apart from each other, they all stop and just kind of stare at each other primarily. You don't think they're looking at you.
Are they like pitchforks and stuff, or is it like
no? It's these all look like
spears
soldiers. So we're looking at like hand axes, swords. Some of them might have opted for a double-handed version of each. Most have, like I said, a single shield. Again, chainmail. Some will have helmets. Definitely a mix of genders. You definitely see it looks like it's maybe more men than women, but by no means is it exclusive or is it an anomaly to see a woman amongst the crowd. As you're standing there trying to figure out what the hell is going on, you see kind of a shadow move over you from something in the sky. And as you look up, you see what you're pretty sure is a winged horse of some kind. And it's kind of flying, but as it's kind of circling, but as it's circling, it's kind of getting lower. And what you can see on this winged horse is primarily a larger than average, probably bigger than a normal human, is a woman, well armored, gleaming like this thing is. It's polished. She definitely has a sword on her hip. She has a helmet, braids coming out, and she looks quite remarkable in the sunlight as it glints off her golden armor. As she gets lower, the other thing you see is what a smaller figure, again, probably looks like a normal human size, is behind her, and he is dressed, flowing long hair under his, his skull cap style helmet. He's got a nose piece, but doesn't cover his whole face. Chainmail, has a hand axe and a shield. And they keep circling and land. And the man will get off the back of the horse. The woman will turn to him. She'll pull her sword and hold it up in a salute to him and say, "Rogar, son of Ragnar, go now, join your brothers and sisters in battle and live forever in glory." And he will return her salute, and he will turn and arbitrarily walk toward one of the various forces around you. It doesn't seem like he necessarily recognizes anybody immediately. And then the winged horse will take off, leaving and flying off into the distance. You think toward that castle potentially. Once Rogar, son of Ragnar, joins the group that he is near, they will begin kind of like bumping either their swords or their swords and axes against their shield, kind of in a rhythmic beat, or like against their chest if they don't have a shield. And it kind of the pace quickens, and gets faster and faster and faster until they're practically just it's inaudible between hits. And then once it gets to that fever pitch, they all just scream. Some will scream battle cries. Some will just scream in what sounds like, just, fury. And they will all just rush each other. And you guys are in the middle of what is about to be this melee. Just fair warning. And as they move there, they all begin to just hack and slash at each other. They're moving through you, so you're still a little off guard because like sword swings that are coming through that you think are going to hit you will pass right through you. So there's still a lot of like instinct is kicking in for you guys too, but nothing's actually making contact with you, and nor does anybody seem to acknowledge you. And for what maybe feels like an hour, you just watch these people slaughter each other, just hacking, slashing. It is brutal to the point where after about that hour, there's really nobody left standing. There are a few heavily injured but still alive people, but they're all mostly appear to be dead at this point. And it's just a massive pile of bodies. And then about a minute passes, and they all start to stand up. Wounds slowly begin to heal. Any damage done to weapons and shields begins to kind of reform. And the other thing that you find strange is that people you literally just watch kill each other begin to like hug, shake hands, slap each other in the back. There's a lot of laughing. It's general camaraderie amongst people who were literally just trying to eviscerate each other, and it was exceptionally brutal. There was no quarter given. It was just straight melee. And then they all kind of turn together, trade stories. They're all laughing. It seems like everybody had a really good time murdering each other, and they move off toward the castle. You do hear one say, "Let us feast, and then tomorrow we shall do this again." And it goes black again. And at this point, the one thing you guys all feel is that in all of this, you feel a little shaky at this point. Like your bodies are kind of feeling a little strained, as if you guys have been running for hours. And you're feeling, pretty rough. And at that point, the door will open to your tube. Marnie will be standing there with her customary notebook, and she'll just kind of quietly wait for you guys to step out. As you each take your first step, I want you to make Constitution saving throws.
17.
Also 17. Oh, I'm sorry. 9.
I got a 9 too.
I was looking at your 17.
It's funny. I set the DC for this really low. So you 2 9s, you take your first step, your legs start to really wobble, and you kind of can't help but go down all fours, and your stomach just turns. And whatever you had for breakfast, some of it ends up on the floor. It feels as if you were forced to do a march. Did we lose Steve? I think.
Oh, where'd he go?
I don't know. Oh, there he comes. Hey,
Sorry.
bud, welcome back. I get it. It was traumatizing, but you didn't have to leave.
I'm glad the stream didn't die. That was great.
Anyway, so you guys are feeling awful. It feels like a forced march in heavy armor on a hot day for 8 hours. Like you guys feel just trashed at this point.
Luckily, I have more in my pocket.
Oh, good. So as you kind of wipe off, you can reach in and snack as you go. So,
Pocket sausage for the win.
So, she'll give you a chance to collect yourselves, and basically we'll tell you this is the primary reasons Seek exists. This entire world is full of people like the elf you saw, like Rogar, son of Ragnar, who were otherwise lost from the afterlife they sought in death. We find these souls and we send them on their way. Sometimes it requires a bit of force. Sometimes it requires killing people who would think that we should do otherwise. But what we do is important. And that is why you are here. Because your respective deities or whoever deems that they have control over your souls felt that you should be part of this. I promise you that it is a worthy cause and that we don't do this lightly and we all do it with passion and duty. She goes, while you guys clean yourself up, I will answer any questions you have. But we have one more stop on our field trip.
Who's Vaughn?
We are not talking about this. You missed. By the way, you missed a little bit right here. It looks like a piece of an egg or something.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm an elephant.
I don't know what that means. And actually, you're not. You're a Luxodon. So get it right, kid. She doesn't say that. That's your DM chastising you.
I'm chastising my DM.
That's fine. So DMs are for.
Was I able to take the rock out of the simulation?
There is no rock in your pocket.
Yes.
You stole his rock. He tried to steal.
It just got left where it belonged.
That was pretty clever, though.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll find a way to he's like, I will build a teleportation system. I will go to the afterlife. I will find that rock and I will make you pay with this rock later. There's a reason he's called the Remarkable and not like the meh. All right. So after you guys collect yourselves, you'll essentially reverse your trip all the way through the facility that you just went in. And I totally skipped over the name. So, because, I have way too many notes here. The facility itself is called the Soul Reintroduction Management Facility. They love their acronyms at Seek. There's a reason why this entire thing is to be based around acronyms. I hope you guys like it. And I can only be clever with so many of them. Okay. Sue me.
I just might.
What? Yeah, that's fine. So she'll take you back through the city. You'll kind of head in a different direction from the way you came. And she'll take you through the main city for about 5 minutes. There are all kinds of street merchants trying to sell you food or various other things as you go through. For the most part, Marnie ignores them or kind of waves them away as they kind of hold up goods in front of her. If you act quickly, you could probably buy a couple things if you wanted to, but you'd have to be pretty quick on passing probably food.
Well, yeah, always.
Yeah, you can get
always food.
You can get all kinds of weird looking fruits or skewers of meat of which you're not entirely sure what it is, but it smells good.
All of them.
Okay. So yeah, you spend about, I'll say it's about 5 silver worth of goods as you move through. I can imagine you in both hands, you have a fruit, a bunch of skewers, and then something else in your trunk, like more skewers.
Yeah.
So you're pretty set.
And she's just going to be munching and talking about how good everything is.
Is it good, though? Is it?
Well, I mean, you'll never know, will you? And then she begins to the same thing where she'll kind of take, a turn down a smaller road and then down another smaller road and then down an even smaller road into, again, a very nondescript alley. This time there's nothing at the end, just a brick wall. And she will turn and says, this will lead us to our Soul Investigation Research and Development, our R&D departments. To pass through this wall, you have to explicitly think, and I am absolutely not kidding, the donkey chases its tail into the sky. You have to think of just that and nothing else.
But
otherwise,
I
you will
have
not make it
all
through the wall.
this food.
That's fine. It really, all that matters is what is in your head. She will turn, kind of breathe for a second, and she will walk through the wall. So what I'm going to have you guys do is make a wisdom check. So I want to see if you can clear your mind enough to actually make it through this wall.
Straight wisdom is not good.
Just straight wisdom check, yeah. Nothing.
14.
You manage to you have a chuckle for a second, being like, this is really weird, but you manage to take a second and get through the wall.
I got a 13.
You also managed to do that. You have to stop eating for half a second because every time you take a bite, you're like, "Ooh, that's good." And you take another bite, "Ooh, that's good." You're like, "No." The donkey chases his tail into the sky. The donkey chases his tail in the sky. How about the remarkable? He's on mute, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
16.
You also don't have a problem. Yeah, as a wizard, being a relatively scholarly person, your ability to focus is pretty good, so you were able to make it through. So nobody managed to bump into the wall today. When you walk in, it is a stark contrast to the other facility, which was orderly. There may have been a lot of stuff going on, but everything seemed to have its place. People were moving and not running into each other. Things are making it to where they had to go. This is completely different. There are a bunch of people, mostly in rows. They look quite disheveled. It's a motley crew, to say the least. There's a half-elf woman walking through the room. She has a disheveled pile of papers in her arms, and she's losing pages as she goes, but does not seem to either know or care. You also see like a gnome. He's reading a book while walking, not paying attention to anybody who's walking near him. So they all have to move around him while he's just walking and reading because he doesn't care or doesn't know. You also see a slightly familiar face. There is a dwarf, gray beard, in a robe walking through the room. Behind him is a gnome that has like a hair sweep across his eye, who looks thoroughly disinterested, but only when the dwarf is turning to look at him and talk, and saying a bunch of stuff. As soon as the dwarf turns back and looking in the direction that they're walking, he looks incredibly interested. But he has to feign that disinterest every time the dwarf looks at him. And that is, of course, Torque the gnome, who is just can't believe, man. Like, I don't even know why I'm here. It's just the worst. But at the same time, like, this is the coolest. Listen to, Newfound Glory later. It's gonna name a new punk emo band every single time. You can definitely tell these people are much more eccentric. They're less the number crunchers, and they're more the weird and interesting thinkers of the organization. When you first walk in, instead of being in a room separately, there are several armed men. In this case, they will do the same thing where they'll ask Marnie for her ID, and she will again roll up her sleeve, and they'll have the tablet there. It'll glow blue before glowing green, and they'll allow her to pass. You pass by several rooms in this hallway that you're walking through. Each door is closed, and there are various bizarre noises. Either machinery, it's what sounds like weird liquids being sloshed around. You think you hear somebody screaming in one of them. It's a menagerie of the weird.
I'm gonna open one of the doors.
Okay. You try. You don't.
I'm gonna knock on one of the doors.
Okay. After a moment, you hear, yes, I'm quite busy. What can I do for you? He does not open the door.
Hello?
Hello? Yes. Hello? What? I am very busy.
Hello, I need to speak with you.
No, come back later.
Hello?
And then you hear from that room what sounds like, you can only imagine in your head a wet tentacle slapping on the wall repeatedly, and a guy going like, "Oh, God, no, just somebody grab it."
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna catch up with the rest of the group.
Yes, yeah. And there's no end to the weirdness of these halls, these doors, basically the sounds and whatnot. Nobody's going really in and out of them much. You do see one door open, and you look in, and there's nothing in there. It's an empty kind of like lab, basically. Start again, completely different what you imagine in your head. You get to a set of double doors, which you will open. There is no security here. In this room, there is basically it looks like a laboratory. There's a bunch of levers on the wall and a couple like consoles that have levers and dials of some sort. Everybody in here, it looks like they're wearing like protective gear, so they all have masks, goggles, and gloves. There's a bunch of people. There's the half elf. There's a dwarf. You think there's a gnome over in the corner. And on the other side of the room, where you guys first walk in, there is basically a really big window looking into another room. And standing in front of it is another figure who has full protective gear that Marty will walk up to. And she'll say, "Oh, Sir Qual, I'm glad you're here today. I wasn't expecting you here, but I would love it if you could tell the recruits here what we do here at CERD, which is the acronym for Soul Investigation and Research and Development. Full elf, very stately features. What looks at first like maybe white hair from age, but actually it's just a really light blonde. Pointy ears, stiff upper lip kind of thing. I always imagine elves are like just really haughty British people, like royalty or nobility kind of thing. You're just that yes. And he'll say, "Of course, Miss Blackwater. We here at CERD are responsible for all research pertaining to souls. How they arrive here, how to capture them, and how they can be used. We also create all the tools that secret teams use, including the soul chambers that you all have in your possession. And if anybody kind of checks their pockets, there is a tiny little soul chamber still there. So, we also provide new weapons for all the nasty that you guys run into when you're out there in the field. There are a lot of untoward beings that will get in your way, and we try to make that job a little easier with our research here."
Are one of those beings Vaughn?
He goes, "What is a Vaughn?"
She knows what a Vaughn is, so she's gonna point to Marnie.
And she just you can see her just kind of going like this, being like, "This is your last warning."
And then what? Do I get sent to the principals?
Can I have you make a wisdom saving throw, please?
Oh no. 16.
You are held in place. You cannot move nor speak. You have had hold person cast upon you. She goes, "We will talk about this later. For now, can somebody turn her toward the window, please, and so she can watch the experiment today?" When the technician, actually probably several of the technicians will come, and they'll kind of slowly try to rotate you so you're looking at the window. She does not drop the spell, by the way. Not yet, at least.
Is the window off the ground? Is that right?
It's almost like, I imagine, like you guys all seen cop shows with a big interrogation window. It's not, you can see into this room. It's a big observer. Like it's you can observe the room in there. So Sir Qual will continue now that interruptions have been quelled, and say, "In this room, we have a murderer that was bequeathed to us for our experiments. And what you guys will see is there is a kobold tied to a table. I assure you, everything that happens to him, he will deserve. Let's just say that when they stopped him finally, only half of the population of that orphanage was still there. So I promise you, what you're about to see may seem harsh, but deserved." So he'll say, "If you excuse me." He'll turn to one of his technicians and say, "All right, now send the unseen servant into the room with the chamber." And you'll see a door open on the left side of the room, and what it looks like a big version of your soul chambers that you have will just kind of come floating into the room. You imagine probably being carried by an unseen servant because he said it out loud. And then the figure will also another door will basically will open up, and I'm sorry, no, I'm wrong. No, and then he'll say, "Apply the field to the kobold, and then open the chamber." And so from the ceiling, what looks basically just like a rod will kind of drop down. What looks like almost like there's a magic wand attached to it, and that will begin to glowing purple. And after about 30 seconds, that purple will kind of transfer to the kobold itself, and he'll just kind of be radiating this color. And then the rod with the wand will go back into the ceiling. And then Sir Claw will go, open the chamber. And the hatch to this larger soul chamber will open, and the light that you guys kind of have learned what souls will look like when they're in their pure form will begin to flow out and flow into the kobold. And as each little bit moves into it, it will begin to essentially grow in size. Muscles begin popping out to the point where it keeps growing and growing. The ropes that are holding it down begin to tear and eventually break up, in the point where at his full growth from these souls pumping into him, he probably becomes the size of maybe like 10 feet, big hulking thing. Wings are ripping out of his back, these big, almost look like dragon wings, and he is just growling angrily. And Sir Claw will turn and nod to one of the technicians who will pull a lever, and you don't see anything happen, but they're all staring intently at the window at this point, observing. At this point, the kobold is laughing maniacally, looking at his body just pumped that he had a glow up, literally in this case, and he just turns to the thing and turns to the window and goes, "You foolish idiots! I will come in there. I will kill you all. I will return to the world. This world will quake in the fear of my coming." And he'll just start smashing on the window. And for the most part, it's holding, but you do see splinters of cracks starting to form a little bit here and there. But considering the size of this creature, it's holding exceptionally well. And at this point, Sir Qual will turn to his technicians and go, "Time," like as a question. And the technician will respond with, "Coming up on the threshold now, sir." And it's to the point where, at this point, the window is starting to show its wear. Larger cracks are forming, and it could give out in the next couple of minutes. You're not 100% sure. Marnie will release your hold person, by the way, at this point, Ulara. So you at least have freedom of moment. I think she's being prepared just in case something comes through the window.
I thought all souls were important. Why are you torturing this one?
He'll kind of hold his hands. No. In a minute, I will answer any of your questions.
Well, these are important questions because you're torturing this being right in front of us, and you want us to be a part of it.
He'll put his hand up and go, and he'll look at his technician that he was just asking about, and the technician will look at him and just kind of shake his head and be like, "We've crossed the threshold. Time has elapsed. No change." And Qual will just kind of hang his head and shake. And at this point, the kobold is just spewing threats about, murder, mayhem, chaos. And Sir Qual will just go, "Yes, that is quite enough out of you," clearly snapping out of anger. And he will just hit a button in front of the window, and these massive flames inside the room will just engulf it. And you'll hear the kobold scream momentarily before stopping. And when the flames stop, there's no trace of him left in the room. And he'll just kind of hold his head and be like, "Mark Theta 34 as a failed experiment. We'll be moving on to 35 tomorrow." And you can see a technician making notes. And he goes, "Your question, madam, about all souls being important. I assure you this man's soul will be sent to whatever afterlife he is due for. Hopefully it is a terrible one, but that is not my decision. For the time being, though, his existence, it's terrible in its entirety, was useful to us in a way to help those who deserve to be helped. And that occasionally requires us to do things like this. I'm not a fan of it, but it furthers the work that helps the good."
Insight check.
Sure.
Yeah, one of those.
Do. Seems okay.
I got at 25.
He firmly believes what he is saying, like with a passion.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe that a murderer should die for his terrible crime? Did I mention the orphanage? Knowing that we will still pass him to the afterlife, whatever it may be destined afterwards. So in his last momentary flash of evil, we're able to learn something that can help those who are innocent and good pass on to theirs as well. I see it as a fair trade, and the scales are still heavily balanced in the way of good for us.
But see,
Persuasion roll on Laura. It's for
Yeah.
the best.
I'm not a murderer.
16.
Let me put it this way. You see a man carrying a sword, striking a woman on the street. You would stop the man, right?
Yeah, but I wouldn't kill the man.
He comes at you with his sword, striking repeatedly. What would you do then?
Well, seeing as he is probably just a farmer, I'd probably have better skill set than him.
Possibly. You don't know that, though. My point is you would do what you could to defend the innocent, even at the cost of that man's life, should it happen that way.
Yeah, but he attacked first.
This
He
man
attacked me first.
killed
He did it.
children.
That didn't attack me first.
Well, you didn't hit the switch either. I'm prepared to live with that on my conscience. I won't ask you to come work in the research department. I promise. And he'll turn to Marnie and he goes, Miss Blackwater, if you would, and he'll kind of like nod toward the door. And she'll go, yes, thank you for your demonstration.
Wow.
We will be in touch later. And she will kind of usher you toward the door. Basically his way of saying, like, get the fuck out of my laboratory. In the most polite elf way possible.
Y'all are into some weird shit.
Yeah. So as you're moving back through that hallway, again, same strange noises. This time it sounds like they maybe have the whatever the tentacle like creature they may have been chasing under control. But you don't know. and then you go back through it again. It's nobody for the most part has acknowledged you while you're moving through either. They seem like they're very much intent on their own business. If you've ever been to like a math or science school, walking down the highway, it's the same idea. A lot of people very much in their own heads. So you guys will make it out to the street. She will lead you back to the dormitory, which now that you're looking at it from this side, because nobody turned around to look at what the door was when they left, it is just a nondescript door in the side of a building, but the sign above it says Erotic Dwarven Art Gallery.
Oh, boo. Boo.
Is this what Carson actually does? Being like, what? You know, Marty will turn and go, we had to think of something that nobody would want to go into. So,
Except dwarves.
she goes, it happens less than you would think. So, and then she opens the door and you are at your dormitory, basically, at this point. She'll turn and say, now, I hope you can see why we do what we do. We are not just stopping bad people from becoming worse, but we are also making sure that everyone gets the afterlife they deserve. Please take it to heart. Get some rest, and tomorrow we go back into the simulator.
I don't need rest. I just woke up.
You feel exhausted, actually, after your experience in the viewing room. You guys felt like you ran a marathon today. So,
Okay.
and the travel time between the travel time and actually seeing some of this stuff, also like several hours have elapsed. So, you definitely have some time, but you are free to do with as you will with the rest of your day.
In our room.
Well, in your dormitory, there's all kinds of things to do there.
All right, I'm going to explore the dormitory.
Okay.
See what fun things are there.
There is a large training room not only with like weights and stuff like that and other tools to actually like do a workout. There's also a big like sparring pit. It's
Okay.
sand layered. It's dropped a little bit below the actual floor, so you don't fall out as easily. There is a massive bathhouse, so this big hot water pool in the middle, as well as like other washing facilities. It's very I don't know, Roman inspired, but it's very nice. There is the common room, which basically is mostly a big table with chairs. There's a full kitchen. There is the small bar, the small wet bar. Basically, it's not a huge bar, but there's ale, wine, some hard stuff if you want it. And that's about it. Plus
She's
all
gonna
your rooms.
make a
Charcuterie.
Yeah, that word. She's gonna make one of those
All right,
for
you
like
make a
10 people, but like for herself.
Okay, yeah, you
and
make a
go to the
charcuterie board.
bathhouse.
All right, are you gonna basically soak and eat?
Yep.
All right, you soak and you eat. It's is a good cap on what was a tough day.
Do some snorkeling too.
Yep. Yeah, I mean for you, it makes sense. Yeah, anybody who happens to walk in an accident could probably get splashed in the face.
Stealth plus 10.
Yeah. So basically, anybody else who gets to the bathhouse, they just all you see is the trunk floating and kind of almost looking like it's a face and sneaking up on people. Yeah. Yeah, or is it Star Wars when they're in the trash duct, the trunk pops up, it's like doop. Anyway. Anybody else want to do anything in the space that they have?
I don't think so. I'm becoming more and more suspicious of these people, so I'm going to go back to my room, I think.
Okay. You go back to your room that has like rich, mahogany and many leather bound books.
Is there a library?
Funny, you think, man, I would love to be able to read a book. You look to kind of the right of where you're sitting, like you've gotten out of the bathhouse at this point, and there's a door you don't really remember seeing there before.
Either leads to something interesting or to another wall. So I'm gonna go open it.
It's a wall. No, I'm just kidding. No, it's a library.
Does the dorm change based on what we're thinking?
You're starting to get that sense a little bit. You were thinking to yourself, man, I really want some good meat and cheeses. And you don't necessarily remember them being there before, but the meat and cheeses were there.
All right.
And again, you're trying to was that door always there? And you just can't. You're like, maybe I'm just overthinking it, or maybe it wasn't.
I'm gonna think about a tavern really hard, hoping what's gonna appear.
You don't see any doors appear. You're in the library now, right? Or did you actually go into the library?
I didn't go in the library.
Okay. But you look over at your bar, and it seems a little more robust than it was before. There's not a full tavern there, but it feels like the bar has gotten a little bit bigger. And then the ale selection almost, you think, maybe doubled. You're not entirely sure. A friend, the dwarf, pops up from behind the bar. Is like, "Hello." No, I'm just kidding. That doesn't happen.
I will head to bed early.
Okay. Boring, but sure.
Right. Totally.
This is not a power we need, but a power we always should have had. Yeah, she'll head to bed too because there's not much to do for the day.
The remarkable, your book sense picks up, being a wizard. You're like, I think there are more books all of a sudden. So there's a library now. Yeah, just little books.
Anyway. This is a good one.
Well, you don't know until you go into it, but yeah.
Yeah.
You have to come out of your room first.
Yeah, I'll go check it out.
So you pop your head out the door, just kind of like you hear people moving. You're like, you just kind of you're like, I don't remember that door being over there. And so you wander and open the door, and there's a library, and it's only about 3 or 4 aisles worth of books, as well as the outer wall. So it's not huge by any means, but for an individual library, it's pretty pretty decent size. I mean, book ceiling, they're like 15-foot bookshelves with the slidey ladder that goes all around the edge, so you can have fun with that later if you want to. And as you're perusing, I mean, it's primarily nonfiction, all kinds of just books about generic information. There is a little bit of fiction, but it's not a huge section by any means. So it's not like the Remarkables library, but it's it'll make do.
Okay. Well, I'll go back to my room now. I think that I've seen that it's there.
Okay. So your evening eclipses, and you all wake up in the morning. 6 a.m. At least you think it is 6 a.m. comes around, and Marnie is out in the common room waiting for you. She's like, so, I'm sure you have questions. And she'll not a word about Van. I have checked with the higher ups, and it is classified. You know more than you should as it is.
Well, that's not my fault.
She goes, well, it wasn't officially classified until I mentioned it again. So,
good job.
Well, you pushed. It's always easier to ask for forgiveness than ask for permission.
Yeah. You lied.
I did nothing of the sort. I omitted. It's different.
No. You lied.
She goes, anyway, any real questions?
I don't trust you.
That's fine.
So what exactly will we be doing today?
You will be hunting vampires.
For reals or just like simulation?
Well, it'll be simulation. I'm not going to put you up against vampires, for reals yet. They would.
Vampires are what got me in this situation.
She goes, I'm aware. I read the reports.
Are you trying to punish me? Because
No.
I asked about Vaughn.
I assure you, you will run into these creatures often enough that I want to make sure you're prepared. Several of the larger organizations that collect souls in this world are run by vampires and their various spawn. And in a world with no natural source of sunlight, you can imagine they can move more freely than they usually can in other worlds. So it is something you have to be prepared for it. I will be damned, despite any attitude I'm being given, that I will let you out there without being prepared.
Perception?
Or are you looking for insight to see if she's lying?
Insight, I guess.
Insight. I was like, she looks well put together. Yeah, that's what perception would tell you.
10.
You know what? She seems on the up and up.
All right.
As far as you can tell.
I'll buy it.
Okay. She goes,
At least we know what we're fighting this time.
She goes, yeah, you'll need to be prepared this time. There are wooden stakes in the next room for you to take if you so wish.
Do we have a stake gun?
No.
Can we do like an Arcana check or a history check to figure out what we're going to need to do?
Yeah, go ahead and do Arcana.
So Moonlight's really good for these guys.
She has Moonlight doesn't do much. Now
I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1.
Okay, you're like vampires. What's a vampire? Does that begin with a V? So the Remarkable, I mean, you're remarkable, so of course you know about vampires. You know that ultimately stakes will not necessarily kill them, but when they have one stuck in their heart, they are essentially frozen in place. They are exceptionally hard to kill in the sense that basically you have to hit them with sunlight in order to really do it, or you have to kill them while they are in their essentially their coffin, their place of rest. If you do enough damage to them, they don't necessarily die. They turn into a mist and return to their place of healing, which is usually hidden or heavily trapped. And you have to kill them there.
Okay.
Yes. Laura, you definitely know vampires are nasty business. Not only
hurt.
are they very strong, they also have all kinds of, abilities that can get in your head. So, as you have experienced firsthand.
I used to be one.
Did you really?
No.
No, she means in another game.
Oh.
No. You can't be cured from vampirism.
I don't know. I rolled a 1, so I'll find out.
Yeah. Carson's eyes go wide. He's like, "You were?" He goes, "Did you get better?"
Yeah, I became a cleric.
Yeah, I got better.
I paid.
So
I paid a god and he cured me.
So yeah, she will take you into the next room. It is that same white room that you've come to know and love. And on the table there is all kinds of wooden stakes sitting there waiting for you if you want to take any.
Yep, take some.
I'll take a bunch.
And hold on, I have to tweak my encounter for 3 people. I don't want to murder you all.
I don't want to be murdered.
You might be murdered. I'm just gonna put it out there. You should be prepared for it.
Were we supposed to do a Zoom thing?
Nope. This is gonna be well. Yes, but this is gonna be relatively simple.
Okay.
It'll be close-ish quarters. So. This is pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. We're going to go ahead and get rid of one of those guys. I should... No, I'm going to actually clear this guy out entirely because that would absolutely murder you. All right, so she will do her... she goes, any last-minute questions before you have your encounter?
Why are we fighting a vampire right now? Why didn't we fight one earlier?
I wanted to ease you into this. And you won't be fighting a full vampire this time, because a full vampire would, no offense, murder you very quickly.
Yeah.
So you'll be fighting something akin to one. And again, it is something you're definitely going to run into when you are released to the vast wide world, and I want to make sure you know what they look like and how they fight.
All
right. So she'll do her little, her clap on thing, and the room will go dark. And it will get a little bit lighter, but for the most part, it looks like you are in conditions that are, if you were not near a city, and you are in this current world. So you see 2 of the moons. One is green, one is red, and much smaller than the green one in the sky. And again, that constant aurora. So there is some light. It definitely isn't super bright, though. You are on a road, trees on both sides, and what you see in the distance, kind of at the end of the road, looks like basically just an uninhabited house, no lights on or anything.
Okay.
So, if I was a vampire, my box would either be in the basement or at the very top of the house.
I will defer to you.
He's like, I'm still not sure. Vampire? Are you saying that right? Am I saying that right? Vampire?
Vampire. Depends on how you spell it.
Yeah, Das Vampire.
So
I'm gonna cast. Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm gonna cast light on one of the stakes.
Okay. You have
and then
a glowing stake.
And I'm gonna wrap it up in my robe,
so that it doesn't spread light. Okay.
Right. And just have it.
For half a second, as you're trying to adjust it, you look like ET with a glowing heart, kind of, and then you cover it enough to diminish the light.
Do we want to go up or do we want to go down?
Let's see. I vote down, apparently.
Okay.
All right. Does
Oh, go ahead.
it look like there is access to the basement from the outside, like a bulkhead or something similar?
There does not appear to be, no.
All right. Inwards we go.
All right, so you go to reach for the door, and it is currently, it feels like it's locked.
So we could either break it down and then charge in, or we could sneak our way in.
I looked at your character sheet. I don't think we should sneak.
I know.
Well, I mean, your rogue disappeared into the night, so.
It's you.
I don't have lockpick.
I'm very good barbarian, so.
All right, let's kick in the door.
Carson's like, how else do you open a door? Rather than just kicking it and hacking it with an axe. Like, we go through doors very quickly in my village.
I can't kick down a door in a hut.
And we kick in the door and search the room.
All right, so go ahead and give me, if you guys are going to kick in the door, I'll take whoever wants to do it first, I'll take a strength athletics roll.
I'll be happy to.
I only have a +3.
I have a +5. 22.
You put right where you think the lock mechanism is, and you put your foot right through it. Now, it's funny, the door itself doesn't get kicked in. You actually put your foot through where the lock is, and so you're kind of standing there hobbling with one foot stuck in the door. As the door, you can feel it's loose now on its hinge.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So it takes you a second. You can extricate your foot from the door, and you're on firm ground. It looked kind of cool, but at the same time, you lost all coolness by kind of being like for a second. So you're halfway there.
I'll catch you if you fall.
All right. There is again really dark. Who has dark vision out of all you? I know the Remarkable probably doesn't. Scarson probably doesn't either.
I do not.
Okay, it's really dark in here. There is no light source.
Well, there is now.
You pull your
pick up my stake.
All right, so suddenly there's light flooding into the room. You guys look around. It looks like an abandoned house. There's semi broken furniture. There's a layer of dust and everything, cobwebs, but no sign of anything living or unliving.
I'm going to do a perception check specifically on my smell.
Okay.
That is a 23.
You definitely smell. One thing is, now you're inside. One thing that throws you off is you definitely smell like a rich soil smell in the air. Which again, outside would probably you think it'd be a little more prevalent, but it's really prevalent inside as well.
Okay.
Don't you have like advantage for smelling?
Yeah, I rolled a 16 and a 19.
And she managed to catch a very subtle smell that she normally wouldn't have.
There's a lot of dirt.
Remarkable, you rolled a 24 on your Arcane check vampires. One thing you know about vampires, especially the resting place, it tends to be on dirt or soil from usually wherever they were created, typically, especially if they have to cross large bodies of water. They have to do so on dirt from their homeland, essentially.
Okay. I'll share that with the group.
Okay.
All right. That is good to know. So down's probably a good idea then, right?
You spend a little while looking. You don't find a hatch that goes down immediately. If you want to make an investigation check, we can have you if you want to check more thoroughly.
Indeed.
Are we walking on a
22.
dirt floor or
Nope,
is it?
It is a wood floor.
Okay. Is there dirt on the floor?
No.
17 for an
I
investigation.
mean, there might be some remnant dirt, but nothing of substantial, sized at all. It looks like it might be just dirt from having been walked on for years. So what was it for perception checks or investigation
17.
checks? 17?
22.
22. I'll let Alara make one too. We'll see.
20.
Not natural?
No.
Okay.
I rolled 2 18s.
Okay. So in for investigation?
Yeah, because I get it plus with my smell. And I had no dark vision. So.
Well, in this case, it wouldn't be anything to do with your smell. You're looking for a hatch.
Oh,
So it'd be just a straight
okay.
regular investigation.
Well,
Yeah.
my first roll was an 18.
That's right. It sounds like it's the same way. So yeah, you guys, after you kind of like you're looking around the floor, you happen to kind of meet at the same point. And you can see a very subtle crack, which kind of makes a square along that you think if you pulled, potentially could be something.
All right. Does anybody have anything we can use to make essentially a Molotov cocktail?
Let me check. No. I have a sling.
I don't have alcohol. How do I not have alcohol?
You
I
didn't
have
take any
like cast grease.
I
and light
didn't
it on
take
fire.
it. You do?
Oh, there you go.
Let's do
I can
that. I
cast
have a
grease.
torch, so we can grease up the torch and dump it down there.
Or we could, or I can grease up the down there and throw down the torch.
Yeah. Let's do that. See what happens.
Is this like a wooden building
Yes.
that we're in?
We could burn the house down.
Well,
Could also do
the
that.
vampires will die either way.
All right. So there was a hatch. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes, they found a hatch.
What do you guys want to do?
It's probably booby trapped. If there is a vampire down there, would be my guess. So opening it up is going to cause a problem. Probably. That would be my guess.
We could start by lighting the house on fire and wait for them to come outside.
Oh, draw them out. That's a good idea.
Or we could block the hatch from this side and then light the house on fire.
Is there a handle of any kind?
Nope.
Is there enough space to fit fingers in to lift it up?
You think maybe either like a sword or a dagger, if you put it in there, you could probably use that to maybe lift with something narrow, but definitely not your fingers for sure.
I'm wondering if we could. I have rope. I'm wondering if we could figure out a way to attach it without opening it all the way and then getting outside of a range of a potential trap, since our rogue has rogued us.
I'm going to cast detect magic on the hatch.
Sure.
Smart.
Any response? Is there any evidence?
There is not. No.
Okay.
Did you share that with us?
Yep.
I'm going to try and break the hatch open with my axe.
Okay.
Let's see.
I'm going to take a 15-foot step back.
So you managed to hit the ground, but it's something about the angle. It just kind of like careens off to the side, and boy, does it make a really loud noise.
You know that was a natural one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I chose not to see like have you cut your leg off on accident, but yeah, you definitely like you missed the floor. Like your cool factor is just like
I'm gonna make an excuse, like it caught the edge or something.
But also, like the way the
On the
light is, it's
backswing.
behind you, so
Yeah.
you're backlit, and it threw off your vision. I mean, you're in a weird world. Everything's just, your
All right.
head's not in the game.
I'm gonna retrieve
It's
my
metal
axe.
that looks like wood.
You retrieve it. Like, it must be the hardest substance known to man. Still nothing's happening. So you guys are just kind of staring at a hatch that has a small little groove cut out of it, but that's it.
I'm gonna try it again.
All right. This door, man, is perplexing you.
All right, I don't know.
This time you swing and you can see the outline, but then the Remarkable moves in a way that it casts a funny shadow, so you miss the entire hatch, just hit the floor on the other side. You're like, oh, that's not where I'm supposed to hit.
Oh. Fuck it, let's burn it down.
Yes.
I'm done.
Burn it to the ground. All right, let's smear this grease around and then...
Guys, this wood's impenetrable. I don't know what to do.
Let's see if it lights on fire.
Okay, well, I want to make sure that no one's in the range of the spell before I cast it because it has a 60 foot.
Was it range? What's the area it actually affects?
The range is 60 feet. The area is 10 feet. Excuse me.
Yes. Yeah.
So I want to make sure no one's in the area where the grease will be.
Which you think you can comfortably do in the direction of what won't hit anybody at all.
I'm going to step outside.
You think you're going to step outside?
I think I'm going to step outside.
Right on the floor in front of the door, this figure bursts out, sending wood shrapnel everywhere, and climbs basically onto the floor in front of you, and just hisses, just like teeth bared, hands out, ready to fuck you up. And they're going to attempt to do so.
Hiss back and assert your dominance.
Couldn't do that like 5 seconds ago after I hit the lock the first time.
Nope. And they're just basically going to try to grab you with their claws real quick. 17.
Hits.
So you're going to take... So you're actually they're not going to do any damage to you. They're actually just going to grab a hold of you. And then the next thing they're going to do is they're just going to bite into you, or they're going to try to at least.
Okay.
They don't think a 15 is going to cut it?
15 does.
Okay. All right. So it just sinks its teeth into you, dealing initially 4 damage. So not deeply, but you feel just a sickening wave of energy kind of coming from it for another 5 damage.
Gross.
And the other thing too is your maximum hit points are reduced by 5 for the time being. And you are considered grappled at this point. And now we roll initiative.
Oh boy.
Ooh, 21.
16.
10.
You gotta get new dice, man.
I'm rolling the dice. I don't know what to say. I don't.
16 for Alara, right?
Yes.
So the good news is the vampire goes the same time as Scarson. The Remarkable. Your barbarian friend is currently being grappled and bitten by a creature that you're guessing is probably vampire adjacent.
I am going to magic missile it.
So he essentially is almost blocking your view entirely of this creature because it's essentially in the doorway and it was moving up. Oh, no, it's okay. Magic missile never misses.
Right.
So the cool thing is your missiles streak out, and as they're about to hit Scarson in the back, they actually break off on each side and wrap around his body and strike the vampire on the other side. So go ahead and do your damage.
I'm not seeing a way to roll damage on the D&D Beyond.
It should be wherever the spell on your list of spells.
Okay.
There should be like I think it's like 2d4 plus something.
It's one. Here we go. The first one is 4. The second one is 2. And the third one is 4. So 10.
All right. 10 damage straight to the dome.
I guess actually plus 1. Oh, that's including that. Okay, sorry, 10.
Yeah. All right. So the missiles strike true as they always do. It's inerring in its accuracy. And it does react to it, but it does not loosen its grip on Scarson. It's pretty tight quarters. You can move around as much as you want. You can't currently exit the building from the exit. It's blocked by these two grappling. Ulara.
All right. I'm going to cast, as a bonus action, Shield of Faith.
Okay. That gives you +2?
Yes. And then in my action, let's see. I'm going to move up so I'm within 5 feet of the vampire.
Yes, you're kind of able to move to the side, but you could get a swing on if you needed to, for sure.
Okay. Well, I'm going to cast Word of Radiance, which is a cantrip.
Okay.
And it does 1d6 worth of radiant damage, and it's a touch attack. Range 5 foot. No, it's not a touch attack. It's just within my reach, or with where I see. So it has to do a Constitution saving throw.
Okay. 16.
Let's see. Yeah, it beats it.
No damage on a save.
No damage.
So you go to reach out with your glowing hand of pulsing with radiant energy, and it just, while it's got like one hand around Scarson and it's butting into him, just smacks the hand away before you can actually make contact with it.
Darn it! I'm gonna move back.
Sure. She's gonna take a quick little swipe at you with that one claw again, just to see if she can nail you on your way out of combat. She's gonna swing at you for 22.
That hits.
Max damage for 11 damage. She gets a hold of you hard with this set of claws and just catches you across the cheek and leaves a pretty substantial wound behind it. Scarson. So how
grappled?
You are grappled. How that works is you will make a opposing strength athletics or dexterity acrobatics check.
Athletics it is.
I suspected. You probably can beat it.
11.
She only rolls a 10.
Ah, sweet.
So you kind of manage to kind of slowly pull your head away from her neck, and you manage to just kind of smack her arm away. You can make a swing on her if you want.
I will. Oh wait, I have to attack.
I prefer it, yes.
My bad.
I know you're angry, but there's a cadence.
12.
She's not armored, but it's still not enough. So she kind of moves back quickly as you go to swing at it. You think she's made of the same material that hatch was made of. You're just like, guys, man, I don't know what's up with this man.
Okay, fair.
She's gonna return the favor. And actually, the wound that the magic missiles did kind of left some burn marks on her. Those begin to close up on her. Oops. I took the damage away instead of healing. Heal. There we go. All right. And she's going to try to claw at you again. She is going to make contact. She's going to try to grapple you again. And then she's going to try to sink her teeth in. But you're resisting well enough so she can't make contact with the teeth, though. So she's got a hold of you, but you're not currently bitten. And then we're back to the top of the Remarkable.
I am going to mind whip her.
Did you mute yourself somewhere, Adam?
I can hear him.
Nope, I'm not muted.
Oh, we can't hear you for some reason.
Oh, sorry.
I can hear him. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can't hear
I
anybody.
can hear him.
Uh-oh.
What'd you do?
Whoa, this just took a turn.
We win by default.
Yes, we win. We win.
You can't hear me at all?
I can hear you fine, Adam. It's just Charlie can't
Oh,
hear
there we go.
us.
Sorry, I must have hit a switch or something with my volume all the way down. I was like,
That's okay.
All right. I was like, all right, come on, guys. We got to get better about this muting thing. It was me this time. Turns out I was the monster all along.
Okay,
All
so I'm going to do Tasha's Mind Whip for 5.
Does she make a save, or do you have to hit with that?
Let me see.
Usually one or the other.
The target must make an intelligence saving throw.
DC is 14. Should be on top of your spell list. Your save DC.
My save DC is 14, correct?
14. Okay. Let's see. How smart is this vampire? Not very. She's average. And she rolls a natural 1. So she's just so busy with Scarson trying to hit him that she's not focusing. So was it 6 damage?
Yes. Right. 5, sorry. 5.
So with her one free hand, she grabs her head and just kind of like hisses again. Basically, you can say that you gave her a headache. Ulara.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to do some stuff. As my bonus action, I'm going to cast my spiritual weapon.
Okay.
I cast it within range of the vampire, and I take the attack that I get when I cast it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a 16.
That will hit.
Perfect.
So there's a little more light in the room as this glowing hammer basically comes and just smacks the vampire.
And that is 9 damage.
Nice. What kind of damage is it? It's force damage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I am going to cure wounds on myself.
Okay. Well, Scarlet's like, hey.
I'm actually doing okay.
For now. Yeah.
Knocking on wood.
Yeah, I checked him out. It was either me or him. And I chose me.
She's like, I'm not dying by a vampire again. Nah, not on my watch.
He was in the better straits. I only had like 9 HP. 19 HP.
I was like, how do you have so little HP?
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
We'll have to talk. I think you're down HP from where you should be anyway, if you're that low already.
I'm at 34. I have 34
right.
max hit points.
Okay, maybe that's about right. Anyway.
You just make brutal characters for us to fight.
No.
Yes.
Anyway. Scarson.
All right. I'm going to stake this person thing. So just an attack roll?
Yes, please.
Is it straight strength or should I do unarmed strike?
Improvised weapon, so it would probably be it'll be different damage than but you can use that as your modifier to roll by. You again, while she has you grappled, you're just trying, but in the effort to fight off her bite as well as her claws, you just can't seem to find an opening.
Another natural 1 for everybody who might be watching us.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, at this point, she's kind of laughing. Actually, she thinks she's having a good time. She's gonna be full soon.
That's my turn.
All right, it's gonna be her turn. So you are make you want to try to escape your grapple?
Sure. I think didn't I do it last time?
She re-grabbed you.
Okay, that's fine. I'll be close quarters.
Okay. All right. So here comes a claw. She's going to try to drag a claw across your face. She's going to miss, though. And then she's going to try to do a bite. She's going to miss the bite. So you guys are at this point just wrestling with each other because neither of you can seem to find purchase on each other at this point.
Sure.
We're back to the top of the remarkable.
Shocking. Oh,
go ahead. Yes. Just
okay.
All wounds that you originally saw on her have been healed.
Okay, I'm gonna try to stake her as well.
Yeah.
What would I roll for that?
So what is your strength?
My strength is 15.
So it's a +2. What is your so it'd be roll a d20 +4.
Okay. Is there a d20 option on the?
On the
Lower
bottom
left-hand
left
corner.
of the screen, there should be a
I
little
see it.
outline of a d20. Yeah, you can click
Yep,
that to roll any dice of choice.
16. I got a 16. So
Okay.
+4 would be 20. Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So you hit her. I think. It sticks in her, and she reels back from that, but it does not kill her. She just looks really unhappy, so she lets go of Scarson and kind of stumbles back a little bit. Wizard getting into melee combat. Oh, always fun.
When she stumbles back, does she provoke any attack of opportunity from any of us?
She doesn't technically leave combat. She just kind of stumbles back a step or two. She's technically still within that 5-foot window. So
Okay, she just released her grapple.
yes.
All right.
So we are to Alara.
I'm gonna pull out my stake and try and stake her as well.
So the remarkable, you are aware that stakes are effective against them when they're already essentially down.
Mm-hmm.
While they're standing, they don't like it, but it doesn't actually necessarily it doesn't kill them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So yeah, so you know
right.
stakes are good toward the end of a fight, but not so much for the start of a fight. So
okay, I will not do that then. I will. I'm going to try and. Well, what I need to do is I need to do a Cure Wounds at 2nd level on our lovely barbarian. That's number 1. So that's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15 heals. And then I will hit her again with my spiritual weapon. And that is a 23.
definitely hits. Spiritual weapon's always the star of the show. The thing seems to connect pretty well.
And that is 5 damage.
All right. We are at Scarson.
I'm going to attack. I think this is probably going to have to be our last round for the night.
Yes.
All right. So let's see. Accidents. Oh, I got to swing a hit.
Yeah.
There we go. 22.
You fully. So basically, she stumbles back, and you just bring the axe down on her.
And 5 points of damage.
All right.
Very sad.
Okay. She is gonna pull the stake out and just kind of toss it to the side, and she, seeing just Scarson in front of her, is just incensed at this point and is gonna try to do the same thing she always does. It's the oldie but goodie. She's gonna miss with the claws, but she's gonna go in for the bite, and she does not connect. So she's still not able to connect with you guys, unfortunately, for her.
Should we pick this up next week?
Yes. I will say one thing. One thing you notice that Rahiri's been really quiet this whole time. You realize she didn't go inside with you. She was outside investigating. Her sword goes through the backside of her, of the vampire.
Okay.
And looks like does a pretty fair amount of damage. So I'll just make note of that for the vampire for next time.
Okay.
Because in theory, Erica will be joining us next week, so we'll make sure she's part of combat.
Gotta get that radiant damage.
Yep.
Awesome.
All right. So that has been our game, folks. We will be back next week on Friday, May 28th at 8 p.m. If you want to see a whole party get beat up by the more vampires that have hiding, or not, we don't know. The only way to know is if you join us next week. So.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys.